You think you know the story of Cinderella, right? Glass slipper, fairy godmother, cute little mice. But what if I told you that entire story is a lie?
No, seriously. Okay, forget the Disney movie.
The real Cinderella is actually a horror story. When you dig into the original 1812 version by the Brothers Grimm, it's less fairy tale and more true crime.
All right, so first up, the Disney lie. Let's talk about the biggest cover-up in the whole story, the magic. Where did it really come from? Well, the answer is kinda grim.
Yeah. Forget Bibbidi-Bobbidi-Boo. There's no cheerful fairy godmother with a magic wand. In the original, all her magic comes from a twig that she plants on her dead mother's grave.
I mean, you can just feel the entire vibe of the story shift, can't you? It's not bright and happy. The whole thing starts from this place of just deep, desperate sadness.
So, a magic tree grown from grief? Okay, but how does a twig on a grave get you a ball gown? Oh, you just wait. It gets so much darker.
So get this. The magic isn't some happy little gift. It's something she literally grows from her own sorrow. The story says she cries so much on her mother's grave that her tears make this tree sprout. And then the birds that live in the tree become her little helpers. It's absolutely tragic, not magical.
And okay, this is where the story officially goes from just being sad to being straight up gruesome. The bloody slipper. We all know the part where the prince shows up with the shoe, but in the Grimm version, the stepsisters are, let's just say they are disturbingly committed to making it fit.
So how exactly did they try to make that slipper fit? You'd think maybe they just squeezed their foot in really hard? Nope. Their mother had a much more direct solution.
She gave her a knife. She told her own daughter to cut off her toe. Because, hey, who needs to walk when you're a queen, right?
Wait, she literally cut her own toe off? Yes, she does it. She hacks off her toe, shoves her bloody foot into the slipper, and the prince is totally fooled. At least he is until those little birds from the magic tree decide to become tiny, feathered detectives. Can you even imagine? The prince is riding off with his new bride, and these little birds just start singing, turn and peep, there's blood within the shoe. Ew, there's blood in the shoe! The prince looks down and apparently sees it streaming out. That is so gross.
And you'd think after that disaster, they would have just called it a day. But no, they decided to go for round 2 of self-mutilation.
This time, the mother tells the other sister to just slice a piece off her heel, and she does it too. And of course, the birds totally call her out again, and the prince is left with another bride-to-be bleeding all over his horse. What is happening?
Okay, so after all that chaos, Cinderella finally gets her prince, the evil stepsisters get exposed, and in the Disney movie, this is where they're, forgiven or something, but this is the Grimm version, and they had very different plans. This is where we get to the horrifying revenge.
So you can just forget that sweet little turn-the-other-cheek Disney ending. The original story says, oh, absolutely not. So what really happens? Well, the stepsisters have the nerve to show up at Cinderella's wedding, trying to get on her good side. This turns out to be a very, very big mistake.
Remember those helpful birds from the tree? They fly down and they peck out the stepsisters' eyes. I'm not making this up. It says, for their wickedness, they were punished with blindness. And get this, they pecked out one eye on the way into the church and the other eye on the way out. Just boom, blind for life.
So the moral of the story is, get your eyes pecked out. This isn't about forgiveness. This is about violent, eye for an eye, literally, justice.
This is insane. The entire story that we were told as kids was a complete and total cover-up for a gruesome tale of grief, mutilation, and some truly horrifying revenge.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If this is what they did to Cinderella's story, what other dark secrets are hiding in all those other fairy tales we thought we knew?